The courthouse hallway is too cold, like the air has teeth. My fingers cramp around the crumpled summons, paper biting into my palm. Behind me, Evan's laugh slides along the tiled walls. Smooth, practiced, cruel. He leans close enough that I smell his mint gum and expensive cologne. "You're nothing," he murmurs, "sign and disappear." My stomach flips. My hands shake so hard the paper trembles like a leaf, but I lift my chin anyway. A cough cuts through everything. Soft. Familiar. I turn. The old man from the bus stands there in a clean coat, eyes steady on Evan. Evan's face drains. Fast. Like someone yanked the power out of him. The clerk calls our case. The old man says my name. Like he already knows my whole life. "Ma'am," the judge says, "before we begin, we have new evidence." My name tastes strange in my own mouth in places like this. Like it doesn't belong under fluorescent lights and sealed doors. I keep hearing Evan's voice, his little, careful laugh, like a hand pressing my face down into cold water. I used to be a person with plans, real ones. Small ones, but mine. A certification course bookmarked on my laptop. A savings jar on top of the fridge that I fed with loose bills like I was feeding a tiny, hopeful animal. Then Evan came along with his big promises and his tired eyes and his "just until I pass the bar," and somehow my dreams became background noise in my own life. He filed without warning. No conversation, no, "we need to talk," just paper, just a court date. And then, like a magician finishing a trick, he froze the accounts. 1 minute I could buy groceries, the next my card chirped that humiliating beep and the cashier stared like I was a thief. He rewrote our marriage with one clean sentence. I wasn't worth keeping. The courthouse smells like paper and disinfectant. My throat burns like I swallowed dust and pride. Every swallow hurts. I keep blinking because if I don't, the tears will spill, and I refuse to give him that in front of strangers. And still, my mind keeps snapping back to the bus. The heat outside. Diesel fumes curling into my nose, the jerking stop. The old man's body tipping backward, his breath sharp with panic, and my arm shooting out before my fear could stop it. The weight of him in my grip, the way his sleeve felt worn, but his gaze was too steady for someone the world ignores. He wasn't just a stranger, not really. Something about the way he looked at me felt like a question I'd already answered. "If you've ever been dismissed like you didn't matter," the words form behind my teeth, rough and real. "Stay with me." Because what happened in that courtroom changed everything. Evan's mouth brushes my ear again, poison soft. "Don't embarrass yourself." Footsteps, calm, measured. The old man steps closer, quiet as steel. The bench outside courtroom 4B is hard plastic molded into a shape that punishes hips and hope. I sit anyway. My knees bounce because if they don't move, I might fall apart. My fingertips keep finding the edge of my wedding ring tan line, rubbing the pale skin like it's a scar I can erase if I scrub hard enough. Evan stands a few feet away, leaning against the wall like the courthouse belongs to him. Navy suit, sharp cuffs, the same watch I bought him when he passed the bar, the one I paid for in installments, smiling through it like love was supposed to be painless. He's scrolling his phone with that lazy confidence, like this is just another meeting squeezed between more important things. He doesn't look at me, not really. He looks through me. I hear Mina's voice in my head. "He's building a story where you're the villain. She said it the way you warn someone about black ice. Quiet, urgent, like if you blink, you'll slide right off the road." Mina had called me last night, whispering because her kids were asleep. Her voice cracked when she asked if I had eaten. I lied and said yes. My stomach had been empty so long it felt normal. Hollow as a kind of routine. "Do you want me there?" she'd asked. And I'd said no because I didn't want her to see me small. I didn't want anyone to see that. I'd rather be lonely than pitied. I hate that about myself. I hate that it's true. The courthouse vents hum overhead, a steady, indifferent breath. Every few seconds, a door opens and closes, and the sound slaps against the hallway like a book shutting. People pass with folders hugged to their chests. Some of them are crying softly, face turned toward the wall. Some are laughing too loud, like laughter can keep the fear away. My summons is folded in my bag, creased so many times it's softened at the corners. It feels ridiculous that a piece of paper can end a marriage. That ink can cut deeper than any shout. My phone buzzes. A text from Evan, even though he's right there. Be reasonable. Don't make me do this the hard way. I stare at it until the letters blur, my eyes stinging. My throat tightens, a hot knot rising behind my tongue. My hands want to shake again, but I curl them into fists and press my nails into my palms. Pain is clean. Pain is something I can control. I wasn't always like this. I wasn't always bracing for impact. When Evan and I first met, he was all warmth and bright ideas. He'd talked about justice like it was a living thing you could hold in your hands. He worked late at a small firm, then studied at my kitchen table with the intensity of someone trying to outrun their own fear. He would look up at me, exhausted, and smile like I was the only soft place in his life. You believe in me, he used to say. No one ever did that. So I did. I believed until my belief became a job. I took extra shifts at the clinic. I picked up weekend work doing intake forms, filing, answering phones. I learned to smile at rude patients and swallow my pride with cold coffee. I skipped birthdays. I skipped my cousin's wedding. I skipped my own little plans, my course, my savings jar because Evan needed books. Evan needed exam fees. Evan needed a suit that didn't make him look cheap. I still remember the first suit. I'd spread it out on the bed, smoothing the fabric with my palm. It smelled like new dye and department store lights. Evan had stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the tie like he was putting on a different life. You did this, he whispered, looking at me through the reflection. I should have held on to that moment harder. I should have framed it and hung it where I could see it every time he tried to erase me. But time is sneaky. It doesn't announce the day love turns into management. It started small. A comment about my hair. You look tired, babe. Maybe do something with it. A joke at a work event. She's not into all this lawyer stuff. She's just here for the snacks. A laugh that made everyone else laugh too while my cheeks burned and I swallowed the taste of metal. Then it became instructions. Let me handle the finances, Evan said one night, tapping on his laptop like he was calming a wild animal. It's more efficient. My income is complicated now. Taxes, deductions. It's better if everything's in my name. Efficient. That was his favorite word when he wanted something he had no right to take. I remember hesitating. I remember a little spark of warning in my chest, but he kissed my forehead and said, You trust me, right? So I nodded because trust is what wives do, because I didn't want to be the kind of woman who keeps score. The next step came a month later. You should quit, he told me, like he was giving me a gift. You don't need to exhaust yourself, and honestly, you look drained at events. People notice. I want you to be fresh. Fresh, like fruit, like decoration. I laughed at first because it sounded absurd. My job was my last piece of myself, my proof that I existed outside his orbit. But Evan's smile thinned. Why are you arguing? He asked. I'm trying to take care of you. And my stomach folded because arguing with him had started to feel like arguing with a door that wouldn't open. You can push, you can plead, but it stays shut and you end up sore and embarrassed. So I quit. At first, it felt like freedom. I slept in, I cleaned, I cooked meals that tried to taste like comfort. I told myself it was temporary, that I would find something else later. Evan brought home stories of big clients and high-stakes negotiations. I listened with my chin propped on my hand like the supportive wife in a movie. But slowly, the house became a cage with the pretty curtains. Evan came home later and later. When he did, he moved around me like I was furniture. He'd answer his phone with warmth he didn't give me. He'd eat, then push the plate away like the meal was a task I completed, not love I offered. Then the critique started again, sharper this time. What did you do all day? He'd ask, stepping over the vacuum cord like it was my fault it existed. I would list things. Laundry, dishes, errands, like I was presenting evidence in my own defense. He'd shrug. That's just normal. Everyone does that. Normal. The word that erased everything I did, the word that made my work invisible. The night I found the first bank statement with his name printed alone, my hands went cold. I was standing by the kitchen counter, the overhead light buzzing faintly, a pot of rice steaming behind me. The paper felt too smooth, too official. "Why is it only your name?" I asked when he came in. Evan loosened his tie without looking at me. "Because the bank recommended it." My throat tightened. "But it's our money." His eyes finally landed on me, flat and impatient. "Don't start." And there it was, the moment my needs became starting something. After that, I learned to swallow words. I learned to let silence win because silence at least didn't make him angry. Still, I didn't see the divorce coming like this, not as an ambush. 3 weeks ago, he stopped coming home altogether. One night turned into two turned into a week. His texts became businesslike, clipped like I was an employee he had to manage, not a wife he once swore to cherish. I waited. I called. I tried not to sound desperate. Each unanswered ring made my chest tighten tighter until breathing felt like pulling air through cloth. When the papers arrived, I stood in the doorway with the envelope trembling in my hands. The paper was thick, expensive, like his decisions. My eyes scanned the words and my vision tunneled. Petition. Irreconcilable. Hearing. I sank to the floor before my body even asked permission. The tile was cold under my legs. My mouth tasted like pennies. My ears roared, and for a second I thought I might throw up right there, right on the envelope, like my body trying to reject the reality. The message came minutes later. Be reasonable. Don't make me do this the hard way. No apology, no explanation. Just a threat, dressed up as advice. And when I tried to call him, he didn't pick up. The next morning, I tried to use my card to buy groceries, and it declined. Twice. The cashier's face tightened. That special look people get when they decide you're the kind of woman who causes problems. I left without the food. My cheeks burned all the way home. Then I tried to log into our bank account. Password changed. I tried again. Locked. My lungs felt too small. I sat at the edge of the bed with my laptop open and my hands hovering over the keyboard like I was scared of it, like the screen might bite. I called Evan, straight to voicemail. I called again. Nothing. Then, in the middle of my third attempt, my phone went dead. No bars. No service. Like someone had snipped the cord connecting me to the world. That's when I knew he wasn't just leaving me. He was erasing me. I should have run to a lawyer. I should have told Mina everything. I should have done a lot of things. Instead, I opened my closet and stared at my clothes, trying to decide what parts of my life were worth packing. I felt like I was packing a body I used to live inside. In the back, behind winter sweaters, was the shoebox. It was dusty, a little crushed on the corners. I hadn't opened it in a long time, not since the early days when money was tight and I kept everything like proof that we were surviving. Receipts, pay stubs, notes from overtime shifts, a photo of Evan holding his first suit with that boyish grin, a handwritten list of bills I paid when he couldn't. Small scraps of my life. I stared at that box like it was a living thing, like it could speak, just in case I'd told myself back then. I didn't know case would turn into court. A door opens down the hall. My body jolts like a startled animal. A bailiff calls another name. People stand, shuffle, disappear into a room where their lives get divided into words. Evan's phone buzzes. He smiles at whatever he sees. He looks entertained. I hate him in that moment so sharply it feels like biting down on glass. Then the memory hits me again, like a sudden shove from behind. The bus. This morning. The heat. The pack stop, the stink of exhaust and sweat and impatience. The way my stomach twisted with fear while my feet carried me forward because I refused to beg Evan for a ride. I refused to give him that. The bus had lurched the moment the doors opened, like it was angry at being needed. And that old man, thin, trembling, had nearly fallen backward out the still open door. My hand shot out. My fingers wrapped around his arm, firm, instinctive. His skin felt fragile under the sleeve, but his grip on my wrist was surprisingly steady once he caught himself. "Thank you," he'd breathed, voice rough. His eyes had been sharp, not confused, not helpless, sharp like a blade kept sheathed. And now he's here, or maybe I'm imagining it. I blink hard, my throat burns, the hallway shifts as someone approaches. Footsteps, slow, measured. I look up, it's him. The old man stands under the fluorescent lights like he belongs here more than anyone. His coat is clean, his posture careful but dignified. He carries an old briefcase, scuffed at the edges like it has traveled through more truth than most people can handle. His gaze slides over me and something in my chest loosens, just a fraction. Not relief, not hope, something stranger, recognition. Evan turns and sees him, and for the first time all morning, Evan's confidence falters. It's quick. Blink and you miss it. But I see it. His jaw tightens, his eyes flicker like a candle in wind. The old man's mouth doesn't smile, but his expression is gentle. He clears his throat softly. "Mrs. Carter," he says, speaking my last name like it's a fact he's held for a while. My pulse stutters. My lips part, but no sound comes out. How does he... Evan steps forward, voice too bright. "Sir, can I help you?" The old man's eyes remain on Evan, calm, almost kind. "No," he says. One word, soft, final. Evan's hand twitches at his side. His fingers curl, then relax, like he's trying to remind his body to behave. My phone vibrates in my bag, weakly, like it's been asleep. I fumble it out, heart racing. A notification from the bank app flashes before the screen goes dark again. Just 1 second of light. And in that second, I see it. A charge I don't recognize. Halden and Partners. Records retrieval. My skin goes cold, goose flesh rising along my arms as if the hallway temperature just dropped another 10 degrees. I lift my eyes to the old man. He meets my gaze. And something in his stare tells me this is not coincidence. Not at all. The bench edge digs into the back of my thighs as I stand. My legs feel borrowed, too light, too shaky, like the bones inside them forgot how to be solid. I keep my bag tight against my side, not because it's heavy, but because it's the only thing I'm sure I still own. Evan's colleague glides toward me with a smile that's meant to look kind. It doesn't reach her eyes. Those eyes scan me the way people scan stains. "Hey," she says softly, as if we're friends. "I'm Trisha. Evan told me you might be overwhelmed." Overwhelmed? Like I'm a child in a crowded store. I swallow. The disinfectant smell hits the back of my throat again, sharp and sterile. My tongue feels dry as paper. Trisha keeps talking, her voice syrupy. "Just sign what he's asking, okay? He's offering you mercy, a clean break. It'll be easier." Mercy. The word makes something sour rise in my stomach. My nails bite my palm. I keep my face still, but my chest starts to heat with a slow anger, thick, sticky like tar. "Mercy," I repeat, and my voice comes out thin. Trisha's smile tightens. "You don't want to make a spectacle. Judges don't like that. It reflects badly." Before I can answer, Evan's hand settles on my shoulder. Not gentle, not loving, more like a reminder I can move you where I want. His mouth is close to my ear. I feel the warmth of his breath, the shape of his words against my skin. "I can make you look unstable," he whispers. "Don't test me." The hallway tilts. My heart thumps hard, fast, like it's trying to climb out of my ribs. For a second I see it. His version of me, crying, shaking, being painted as hysterical. A woman with issues. A wife who couldn't handle his success. My throat tightens so sharply it feels like a hand squeezing from the inside. I step out from under his palm. The movement is small, but it's mine. Evan's eyes narrow. Then I feel it, like a presence at my side. "Mr. Halden." He doesn't touch me. He doesn't rescue me with an arm or a dramatic gesture. He just stands there, close enough that my body stops trembling quite so violently, like his calm is contagious. He looks at Trisha, just once. Trisha's smile fades. She mutters something about good luck and walks away fast, heels clicking like she's escaping. Evan watches her go, then turns back to Mr. Halden. He tries for confident again, but it's like watching someone force a mask onto a face that won't hold it. "Sir," Evan says, too polite, "this is a private matter." Mr. Halden's eyes are steady. Private matters become public when they are built on lies. Evan's jaw flexes. My stomach flips at the word lies. My brain starts racing, grabbing at fragments like it's trying to build a ladder out of scraps. The bank notification, the strange charge, the way Evan's face drained when he saw him. My fingers go numb around my phone. Mr. Halden turns to me and his voice softens. "You're carrying heavy news," he says, like he said on the bus, like he's repeating a line from a scene I didn't realize was a test. Heavy news. It lands in my chest like a stone. The bus flashes in my mind again, sharp as a camera cut. Morning heat pressing down on my scalp. The crowd at the stop, all elbows and impatience. The bus wheezing up like an old animal. Diesel fumes curling into my nose until my eyes watered. My stomach twisting with fear and pride, fighting for space. I remember the old man's foot catching on the step, the driver barking, the sudden jerk forward, his body tipping backward toward the open door, and my arm shooting out. The moment my hand gripped him, everything else disappeared. Evan, court, divorce, my shame, my fear, just a human being about to fall. His sleeve was thin, his arm trembled in my grip like a leaf in wind, and for a heartbeat I felt the weight of someone's entire life balanced on my fingertips. "Be careful," I'd blurted, breathless, and my voice had sounded like I was begging the universe not to take one more thing. When I demanded a priority seat, the young man in it rolled his eyes like I was annoying him by having a conscience. He stood anyway, muttering, and I guided Mr. Halden down into the seat. His knees shook as he sat, and he massaged them with a grimace he tried to hide. Then he looked up at me. Not grateful like most people, not embarrassed, not small, curious, as if he was reading me. "Did you sign anything you didn't read?" he asked back then, gently, like he was asking about the weather. I'd blinked. "No." "Good," he'd murmured. "Keep it that way." I hadn't understood why my skin prickled when he said it. Now, I do. Back in the courthouse hallway, Mr. Halden's gaze drops to my left hand. My bare ring finger. His eyes tighten, just slightly, like something in him hardens. Evan follows his gaze and smirks, cruel satisfaction flickering. "See," he says, voice low, "even she knows it's over." My cheeks burn, my ears buzz. My body wants to curl inward, to disappear. But something else rises too, something stubborn and hot. I refuse to be a prop in his victory story. Mr. Halden doesn't look at my hand again. He looks at my face, at my eyes, like that's where my worth is stored. "You haven't eaten?" he says quietly, and it's not a question. My throat tightens, my eyes sting. I hate how quickly my body betrays me, hate how my face wants to crumble open under one simple observation. Evan scoffs. "Don't start playing savior, she's dramatic." Mr. Halden's gaze slides to Evan, and the air between them changes. It thickens, it sharpens, like a storm moving in without warning. "Dramatic," Mr. Halden repeats. That's an interesting word for someone who cancels a phone line mid-call. My heart stops. Cold floods my limbs. My fingers go limp around my phone. Evan's face freezes. His eyes flicker, fast, calculating. "What are you talking about?" Mr. Halden doesn't answer immediately. He opens his briefcase just a crack, and I catch a glimpse of paper. Neat stacks, clipped, labeled. The sight makes my stomach drop. Evidence, not opinions, not feelings, paper. Evan shifts his weight, and I see something I've never seen on him before. Unease. A hairline fracture. The bailiff steps out and calls another case. Voices echo. A couple walks past us, holding hands, their fingers intertwined so tight it almost hurts to look at. My chest aches, and for a second I taste old memories. Evan's hand in mine, warm and sure. The way he used to squeeze twice to say I'm here. That Evan feels like a person I dreamed. The one in front of me now smells like cologne and cruelty. Mr. Halden closes the briefcase again. Soft click, like a lock turning. "You're not alone," he says to me, barely above a whisper. My throat burns. "I don't even know you," I manage, and my voice shakes because it's the truth and it's also a confession. I don't know who to trust anymore. Mr. Halden's eyes soften. "That's why this matters," he says. Because you helped anyway. Evan steps closer, trying to reclaim control with proximity. Listen, he snaps at me, voice suddenly sharp. Whatever this is, ignore it. Don't get excited. Don't embarrass yourself in there. The word embarrass hits me like a slap. Embarrassment is what he's been feeding me for months. Small doses, daily, enough to keep me obedient. I taste bile. My stomach clenches. My back straightens anyway, spine stiff with defiance I didn't know I had left. The courtroom doors open. A clerk calls. Carter v. Carter. My heart hammers so hard I feel it in my teeth. Evan starts forward like he owns the room. I move too, but my steps feel heavier, like I'm walking into a wind only I can feel. Mr. Halden falls into step beside me. His cane taps softly on the floor, rhythmic, steady. It does something to my breathing. It slows it. It gives it a beat to follow. Right before we reach the doorway, Mr. Halden leans slightly toward me. His voice is so soft it barely exists. If he thinks you're nothing, he says, he's about to learn what nothing can prove. My skin prickles, my eyes sting. I don't know what he means, not fully, but my body understands anyway. Evan pushes the door open. Light spills out. Cold, bright, unforgiving. I step through it, throat tight, hands numb, heart loud as thunder in a room that wants me silent. The courtroom air is colder than the hallway, like the room is built to keep feelings from multiplying. The benches creak when people shift. Paper rustles. Someone coughs into their sleeve, and it sounds too loud. Evan walks in like he's stepping onto a stage. He doesn't look at me. He looks at the judge, at the clerk, at the ceiling seal, anywhere but my face because my face still remembers him. I slide into my seat at the table, hands folded so tight my knuckles blanch. My thighs press together, trying to hold the tremor in my legs. I can feel my heartbeat in my palms, pulsing against my own fingers like my body is begging me to run. The judge's robe sways as she settles. Her eyes are sharp and tired, the kind of tired that comes from watching humans try to destroy each other with polite words. Mrs. Carter, she says, glancing down. Mr. Carter. Evan's voice is smooth. Good morning, Your Honor. I manage, good morning, but it comes out smaller, like it had to squeeze through my throat. Evan starts immediately, speaking like he's narrating a documentary about an unfortunate animal. My wife has been unmotivated, he says. He doesn't say it with anger, he says it with disappointment, like I failed a test he never told me about. She chose not to work. She chose to depend on me. And over time, the marriage became unsustainable. Unmotivated. The word hits my chest and bounces around in there, looking for somewhere to bruise. He continues, voice firm, professional. She's also been uncooperative. I attempted to resolve this privately. I offered fair terms. She refused to accept reality. Reality, his favorite weapon, like he's the one who gets to name it. My ears begin to ring. Not loud, but constant, like a thin wire humming inside my skull. Heat creeps up my neck into my cheeks. I can feel my face flushing, and I hate it. I hate how my body gives away the storm inside me. The judge looks at me. Mrs. Carter, is that accurate? My mouth opens. Nothing comes out. For one horrifying second, my voice vanishes like it never existed. I can hear myself breathing, too shallow, too fast. I can smell the ink from the papers on the table, sharp and bitter. The room feels like it's leaning closer. Evan's mouth curves. Not a smile, a warning. Then he slides a packet across the table, smooth as a knife across skin. These are signed acknowledgments, he says. Documents showing she understood the financial structure, that she agreed certain assets were solely mine due to my professional liabilities. My stomach drops. He's holding paper like it's truth itself. The judge flips through, her brow tightens. I stare at the documents and my vision tunnels again. The print swims, my fingertips go cold. I know my signature. I know the way my hand loops the L in my first name, the way the tail on my last letter hooks like a question mark. And there it is, my name. On paper I don't remember signing. A metallic taste floods my mouth. I swallow and it hurts. Evan keeps going, voice calm, almost bored. And here are records of gifts, funds I provided for her personal use. I've supported her extensively. Gifts. He's calling survival gifts. My hands start to shake so hard my nails tap each other. Tiny clicks like teeth. Shame crawls up my spine. It tries to fold me in half. It whispers. Everyone believes him. Look at him. Look at you. My chest squeezes so tight I think for a second that I might actually pass out. The room edges blur and then, like a flash of light through fog, I feel it again. My hand on the bus. That moment, the old man tipping backward, the open door, the air ripping past, danger yawning wide. My arms shooting out without permission from my fear, the grip, the weight, the instinct. I wasn't selfish in that moment. I wasn't nothing. I was human. I suck in a breath so deep it stings. My ribs protest. The judge's voice cuts in. Mrs. Carter, did you sign these documents? My throat tightens around the answer. I don't remember, I whisper. Evan's voice snaps too quick. Your Honor, she's confused because she's emotional. That's been her pattern. My cheeks burn hotter. My eyes sting. I blink hard, but the tears cling anyway. Thick and humiliating. I feel the urge to apologize, automatic, trained into me by years of keeping the peace. The urge to smooth the room, to make it comfortable. I clamp down on it like it's poison. Then the cane taps. Once, twice. Steady. Mr. Halden is standing, not at our table, slightly behind, like he's been waiting for the exact second the air would break. Your Honor? He says, voice gentle but carrying. May I address the court? Evan's head whips around. This is inappropriate. The judge's eyes narrow. And you are? Mr. Halden inclines his head. Harold Halden, retired legal ethics investigator. I was requested to observe certain filings connected to Mr. Carter's firm after receiving a tip regarding irregular procedures. My skin prickles. A cold wave rolls over me. Tip. Irregular procedures. Words that sound like doors opening. Evan's face tightens. This is a family matter. He has no standing here. Mr. Halden doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. His calm has weight. Your Honor, he says again, I'm not here to argue the marriage. I'm here because the paperwork being used to erase this woman may not be reliable. Erase. My throat closes around a sob. I press my tongue to the roof of my mouth and force it back down. The judge sits straighter. What do you have, Mr. Halden? Mr. Halden opens his briefcase. The sound is soft, but in the hush it lands like a gavel. He removes a sealed envelope, thick, official-looking. He places it on the clerk's table with 2 fingers like it's something fragile and dangerous. Time seems to slow. Evan's foot taps once, just once, a nervous tell. I've never seen him do that. Mr. Halden speaks, each word precise. Time-stamped records, notarized statements, a digital trail, including metadata from the document management system used to generate these acknowledgments. Evan's voice jumps sharp. This is irrelevant. The judge's gaze doesn't leave the envelope. It may not be. My mouth goes dry. My pulse bangs at the base of my throat. Mr. Halden continues, and his words carve through the room. These documents appear to have been created and altered after the date they were allegedly signed. He pauses. There are indicators of backdating. Backdating. Evan's nostrils flare. He leans forward. Objection. The judge raises a hand. Evan freezes mid-word like a dog caught stealing. Mr. Halden's eyes slide toward Evan, calm, almost sad. Additionally, he says, there are transfers labeled as client expenses that align with the period marital funds were moved out of joint access. My stomach drops again, but this time it isn't shame. It's shock. Pure electric shock. My fingers go numb. My ears ring louder. He moved our money. He hid it. He didn't just leave me. He planned to strip me. Evan's mouth opens, closes, his confidence cracks. It's visible now, like a pane of glass spiderwebbing under pressure. That's, Evan starts, then stops. His voice sounds different, thinner, higher. That's a misunderstanding. The judge's tone hardens. Mr. Carter, sit down. Evan sits, too fast. The chair squeaks. Mr. Halden looks at the judge. I also have a statement from a junior staff member who was pressured to correct a date. A low murmur ripples through the gallery. A hiss of whispers. Evan turns his head sharply, scanning the room like he's looking for the person who betrayed him. The irony hits me so hard it almost makes me dizzy. He spent months making me feel small, and now he looks small. I should feel satisfaction. What I feel is trembling relief mixed with grief, so heavy it could crush me, because part of me is still mourning the man I thought he was, and the other part wants to scream at myself for loving a stranger. The judge flips through the sealed packet as the clerk opens it. Her expression tightens as she reads, eyes moving faster, jaw setting. Then she looks up at me. The room holds its breath. Mr. Halden turns slightly and his gaze lands on me like a hand on my shoulder. Not pushing, not pulling, anchoring. Mrs. Carter, the judge says slowly, did you keep any records of your contributions to the household? Payments, receipts, anything that shows your role in acquiring marital assets? My breath catches. The shoebox. The dusty, crushed shoebox in my closet. The one I kept just in case and then forgot because I wanted to believe love didn't need proof. Mr. Halden looks directly at me, and then he says it, quietly, like a pin sliding into a lock. Do you still have the shoebox? My heart stops. My mouth opens on a silent gasp. Because I never told him about it. No one did. And in that moment, the courtroom spins just a little, as if the whole world shifted on its axis to face the truth. My lungs forget how to work. For a beat, I just sit there with my hands locked together, staring at Mr. Halden like he's reached into my closet and pulled out the last private piece of me. The shoebox. The stupid, dusty shoebox I kept because some tiny part of me never fully relaxed. My lips part. No sound. Evan's chair scrapes as he shifts, sharp and aggressive. This is ridiculous, he snaps. Voice too loud for a courtroom. Too raw. The judge's eyes cut to him. Mr. Carter, watch your tone. Evan clamps his mouth shut, but I can see his throat working, swallowing anger like it's choking him. I finally find my voice, thin and shaking. Yes, I whisper. I think it's still there. The judge nods once, crisp. We're taking a brief recess. Mrs. Carter, retrieve whatever you have. Mr. Halden, remain available. Recess. The word feels unreal, like a pause button in the middle of my life. People stand, murmuring, benches creak, papers shuffle. I rise too fast and the room sways, blood rushes in my ears. I grip the table edge, fingertips whitening. Evan steps into my path the second we're out in the hallway. His eyes are hard now, not charming, not smooth, hard like stones. What did you do? He hisses. My pulse slams, my throat tightens. The old instinct, apologize, soften, fix, surges up like a reflex. But then I remember the way he said, "You're nothing with mint breath and casual cruelty." I lift my chin. I didn't do anything, I say, and my voice shakes, but it exists. You did. His mouth twitches, disgust curling his lip. You don't even understand what's happening. You're going to ruin yourself. Ruin myself. It's almost funny. Almost. He's been ruining me slowly, and now he's scared of me standing up. His colleague, Trisha, appears again like a shadow that won't leave. She leans in close enough for me to smell her perfume, sweet and sharp. If you push this, she murmurs, you'll regret it. My stomach flips, cold fear sliding under my ribs. Mr. Halden's cane taps once on the floor behind them. Trisha's eyes flicker toward him and she steps back like she's just remembered she's not the biggest person in the room. Mr. Halden doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't threaten, he simply says, "Intimidation in a courthouse hallway is a poor choice." Evan's jaw tightens. Who even are you? Mr. Halden's gaze doesn't waver. Someone who's tired of watching power treat decency like weakness. Something in my chest loosens, a tight knot I didn't realize I'd been holding. Mina's name flashes in my mind, bright and urgent. I fumble my phone. Somehow it has service again, flickering weakly like a candle. My hands shake as I type. "Mina, I need the shoebox. Please, closet. Back left, please hurry, the message sends. My fingers go numb, my palms are damp. I pace to the restroom just to breathe, but the mirror inside makes me freeze. I look hollow. Eyes swollen, skin too pale, lips pressed tight like I've been biting them for days. I grip the sink edge and stare at myself like I'm a stranger. You can do this, I tell my reflection, but the words feel borrowed. Water runs cold over my fingers. I splash my face. The chill jolts me, sharp and clean. When I walk back out, the hallway seems louder. Voices bounce off tile. The fluorescent lights hum. My stomach twists with the sensation of being watched even when no one is looking. Evan is on the phone now, turned away. His shoulders are stiff. His voice is low but urgent. Need you to handle it? No, today. Yes, before she... He glances over his shoulder and sees me. His eyes narrow. He turns his back harder like I'm something he refuses to acknowledge. I want to scream. Instead, I swallow it and focus on my breathing. In, out. Mr. Halden stands nearby, calm as if we're waiting for a bus, not waiting for my entire life to tilt. I edge closer, my voice a whisper. How did you know about the shoebox? He looks at me, eyes softening. I didn't, he says quietly. Not specifically, but I've seen your kind before. My kind. The phrase makes my throat sting. My kind, I whisper. He nods gently. The kind who pays for someone else's future and keeps the receipts because, deep down, she knows gratitude can rot. My breath catches, my eyes burn, I blink fast, furious at the tears, furious at the truth. He continues, voice low. I spent decades watching people like your husband, bright, charming, ambitious, bend rules because they believe rules are for others. He pauses. And I spent decades watching women like you get told to stay quiet because it's more dignified. Dignified, Evan's favorite word when he wanted me silent. Mr. Halden's gaze shifts to the courthouse window, distant for a moment. I once stayed silent, he admits. A long time ago. I watched someone be crushed because speaking up was inconvenient. I told myself the system would correct itself. His jaw tightens. It didn't. It just swallowed her. A chill crawls up my arms. That's why you were on the bus, I whisper, connecting the dots like my brain is finally allowing itself to believe them. He inclines his head. I take the bus sometimes, he says. Not for nostalgia, for reminders. Integrity doesn't show up in court first. It shows up when no one is watching. My chest tightens with something that's not fear this time. Something warmer. Something like respect mixed with grief. Footsteps, fast, frantic, slice through the hallway. Mina, she barrels toward me with her coat half open, hair slightly messy, eyes wide and blazing. She looks like she ran the whole way, like her body refused to move at a normal pace. You didn't answer, she blurts, breathless, then sees my face and swallows whatever else she was going to say. Her hands tighten around a grocery bag. Inside, the shoebox. The corners are more crushed than I remember, like it fought to survive the trip. My throat closes. I reach for it like I'm reaching for oxygen. Mina presses it into my hands and then grips my forearm, hard. Listen to me, she whispers, fierce. You are not crazy. You are not weak. He's been rewriting you for years. My eyes burn. I nod because if I speak, I'll break. Evan turns and sees the box. His face changes so fast it's almost scary. The mask flickers, drops, and what's underneath is pure panic. He strides toward us, and every instinct in my body screams to step back. My spine stiffens, my stomach clenches. What is that? He demands, voice tight. Mina steps in front of me without thinking, like a shield. Back off, she snaps. Or do you want the bailiff to hear you threatening her again? Evan's mouth opens, closes. He looks around quickly, checking who's watching. He lowers his voice. This is pointless, he spits. Receipts from years ago don't matter. Mr. Halden's cane taps. They matter when someone claims she contributed nothing, he says calmly. Evan's eyes flick to Mr. Halden with contained fury. You're enjoying this. Mr. Halden's face doesn't change. No, he says. I'm correcting it. The clerk calls us back inside. My hands tremble around the shoebox. The cardboard is warm from Mina's hands. and the warmth feels like love. Simple, stubborn love pushing against all the cold. We file into the courtroom. The air feels heavier now, as if everyone senses the direction this is going. The judge takes her seat. Her eyes land on the shoebox, and her expression shifts. Interest, caution, a slight hardening. "Mrs. Carter," she says, "you have something?" My throat tightens. I lift the box onto the table with both hands, like it's fragile, like it might fall apart from being seen. "Yes," I manage. It's receipts, pay stubs, notes, proof of what I paid for, what I did." Evan exhales sharply, a scoff meant to embarrass me. "Your Honor, this is—" The judge raises a hand again, cutting him off. "We will review it." My heart pounds. My ears ring again, but this time it's not shame. It's anticipation. It's the sensation of something buried finally being unearthed. I open the shoebox. The smell hits me first. Old paper, dust, a faint trace of perfume from a life I used to have. My fingers sift through the contents, and each scrap feels like a tiny witness. A receipt for Evan's bar prep course. My name on the payment. A pay stub with overtime circled in pen. A note I wrote to myself. "Pay rent Friday, don't forget." Evan stressed. A photo of Evan holding that first suit, grin wide, eyes bright, before the grin became a smirk. My throat burns. My vision blurs. I blink hard. The judge leans forward slightly. Mr. Halden steps closer, speaking to the court with the same calm precision. "Your Honor, this isn't sentiment," he says. "This is pattern, contribution, and it directly contradicts the narrative Mr. Carter is attempting to sell." Evan's face tightens. He tries to laugh it off, but the sound is brittle. "She's hoarding old receipts like it proves anything." The judge's voice is flat. "It proves she participated." Evan's eyes flash, and he sits back with forced composure, fingers clenching the table edge. The clerk begins logging the items. The sound of pen on paper is steady, relentless, like a heartbeat. Then something else happens. A young woman stands up in the back row. She hesitates for half a second, then steps forward like she's finally tired of being afraid. She's dressed plainly. Her hands shake. Her eyes are fixed on Evan like he's a storm she survived. "Your Honor," she says, voice trembling, "my name is Lacey Whitman. I worked under Mr. Carter." Evan's head jerks up. His face goes blank, then furious. "Sit down!" he snaps, forgetting where he is. The judge's gaze turns ice cold. "Mr. Carter, you will not address witnesses." Lacey swallows hard. I was asked to change dates on a file," she says. "I was told it was a standard cleanup, but it wasn't. I didn't want to sign off on it. I was threatened with termination." My stomach drops again, but now it lands as vindication. I'm not imagining it. I'm not alone. I'm not the only person he's tried to bend. Evan's hands tighten. I see the tendons stand out on his neck. "This is retaliation," he bites out. "She's disgruntled." Lacey flinches, but she keeps going. "I have screenshots," she says, "and an email thread." The judge nods slowly. "Submit them." Evan's breathing changes, faster, shallower, like his body finally understands the cage closing. He leans toward his attorney, someone I barely noticed before, a man with sleepy eyes who suddenly looks very awake. They whisper, furiously. Evan's face contorts with contained panic. Then, Evan's phone buzzes on the table. The sound is small, but it cuts through the room like a blade. Evan glances down. His eyes widen. Not dramatically, just enough for me to see the truth before he tries to hide it. He goes rigid, like a wire pulled tight. The judge notices. "Mr. Carter," she says sharply, "is there something you'd like to share with the court?" Evan's throat works. He swallows, his face is pale now, the polished confidence leaking away. My heart thunders, my hands are cold around the edge of the shoebox, and for the first time in months, maybe years, I feel it. Not hope. Power, small, shaky, real, like a spark catching in dry wood. Evan's phone sits on the table like a live thing, like it could bite. He doesn't look up right away. He stares at the screen too long, the way people stare at bad news when their brain refuses to accept it. His fingers hover over it, not touching, like even contact might make it real. The judge clears her throat. It's not loud, but it snaps the room back into order. Mr. Carter, she says, measured and sharp, if there is new information relevant to these proceedings, you will disclose it. Evan blinks. Once. Twice. His lips part. Nothing comes out. I feel something twist in my stomach. Part fear, part relief, part a dark satisfaction that tastes like burnt sugar. Because he always had words. Evan always had words. Words were his weapon, his shield, his applause. Now the words are gone. He forces a smile, shaky at the edges. Your Honor, it's not relevant. The judge's stare doesn't soften. We will decide relevance. Evan's attorney leans in, whispering urgently. I catch fragments. Disciplinary, exposure, withdraw, stop talking. Disciplinary, exposure. I sit very still, my skin is prickling like my nerves are standing up to watch. The judge turns to Mr. Halden. Mr. Halden, summarize the core concern in plain terms. Mr. Halden nods once. Yes, Your Honor. His voice is calm, steady enough to rest my breathing against. There is reason to believe Mr. Carter submitted documents that may not have been executed as represented and that marital funds were moved in ways that appear designed to conceal assets and restrict Mrs. Carter's access. Conceal, restrict. My throat tightens around a laugh that isn't a laugh. It's just air trying to escape the pressure. The judge's eyes narrow. She flips through the packet again, then looks directly at Evan. Mr. Carter, this court is not a stage, she says, voice flat as stone. Your presentation does not replace evidence. Evan's cheeks flush, hot, angry red. He starts. Sit, the judge says, and it's not a request. Evan sits. The sound of his chair legs scraping is ugly, the kind of sound that makes everyone's shoulders tense. I glance toward the gallery. People are watching now, not with bored curiosity, but with that hungry attention humans get when they sense a powerful person slipping. I should feel guilty for noticing. I don't. I feel like someone who has been underwater too long, finally breaking the surface. The judge motions to the clerk. Mark the receipts and supporting materials as exhibits, she says, and mark Miss Whitman's screenshots and email thread. Lacey, still standing, looks like she might faint, but she keeps her shoulders square, eyes fixed forward. Brave, terrified, both. My shoebox sits open in front of me, its contents spread like little bones of my past. Proof of dinner skipped, proof of overtime, proof of love spent like currency. Evan's gaze flicks to it, and I see it, contempt mixed with panic. The judge continues, voice precise. Given the serious nature of these allegations, this hearing will not proceed as a routine, uncontested matter. My heart thuds, hard. Effective immediately, she says. I am ordering a full financial disclosure. No transfers, no asset movement, no account changes without written approval. Evan's head jerks up. Your Honor, the judge's eyes cut him down. You will comply. My breath catches in my throat like a sob trying to form. No transfers, no movement. His invisible hand, his control just got slapped away. The judge adds, additionally, Mrs. Carter's access to basic support and marital funds will be restored in the interim, pending verified accounting. For a second, I don't understand the words. They float above me, unreal. Then my body translates them. I will be able to buy food. I will be able to breathe without checking my bank balance like it's a countdown timer. My eyes burn so sharply I have to blink fast, jaw clenched, teeth pressing together. I refuse to cry like a broken thing. But relief is its own kind of breaking. Evan's attorney stands. Your Honor, we request a continuance to... The judge raises a hand. Granted, she says, but not for the purpose of obstruction. I'm also issuing a referral for a review of the contested filings and conduct described here. Referral. Evan goes still again. The color drains out of his face so fast it's almost frightening. His polished mask is gone now. All that's left is the man underneath. Ambitious, cornered, furious that the world is not bending the way it always did. He tries to smile anyway. He tries to charm the room back into his orbit. Your Honor, he says, voice syrupy, I understand the court's concern. I just want an amicable resolution. I've always tried to. Stop, the judge says. One word, a brick wall. This is not a performance. A murmur ripples through the gallery. Someone shifts. Someone exhales like they've been holding their breath for months. Evan's mouth closes. His eyes flick to me, and for the first time in a long time, he looks at my face directly. There's anger there, yes. But there's something else too, fear. It makes my stomach twist, not because I pity him, but because I realize how much he relied on my silence. He built his world on it, a world where I was a shadow that stayed in its corner. Now, the light is on. I slowly stand. The judge looks at me. Mrs. Carter, do you wish to say anything before we adjourn? My throat tightens, my palms sweat. My heart pounds so loud I can hear it in my ears like a drumline. A part of me wants to stay quiet. A part of me wants to let the adults handle it. A part of me is still the woman who tried to keep peace with a man who only respected control. But Mina's grip on my arm earlier flashes in my mind, Lacey's shaking voice, Mr. Halden's steady cane tap, and the bus. The instinctive grip, the moment my body chose action over fear. I look at Evan. My voice comes out low at first, but it grows as I keep talking, like it's remembering its own shape. You called me nothing, I say, and the words taste like bloodless revenge. Clean, sharp. But I was the foundation you stood on. I kept this life running while you built your name. I paid for your books. I paid for your suit. I paid with my time and my sleep and my dreams. Evan's jaw tightens. His eyes narrow like he wants to shrink me again. I don't let him. I'm not asking you to love me, I say, voice steadier. I'm not begging you to stay. I'm asking for what's fair, and I'm asking for my name to be cleared. The courtroom is quiet in a way that feels heavy and holy. The judge nods once. Noted. Evan's attorney touches Evan's elbow, urging him to stand, to move, to leave before he says something worse. Evan rises slowly. His suit looks too tight now, like it doesn't fit the man he's being forced to be. As he turns, he catches Mr. Halden's gaze. And something in Evan breaks again. Tiny, visible. Mr. Halden speaks, voice soft enough that it feels personal, but clear enough to land in the room. The moment you decided she was disposable, he says, you exposed yourself. Evan's lips pull back, almost a sneer. You don't know anything about... Mr. Halden doesn't flinch. Enough, he says, quietly. I know enough. Evan storms toward the door, but he stops halfway, like his body remembers the audience. He forces himself to walk instead of run. His girlfriend, she's been sitting in the gallery, perfectly dressed, perfectly still, stands up as if she wants to follow him, then hesitates. Her eyes flick to the judge, to the clerk, to the murmuring people. The air around her feels suddenly unfriendly. She picks up her bag and slips out a different door without looking at Evan again. It's not dramatic. It's worse. It's abandonment with manners. I watch it happen and feel a strange calm, like the truth is taking its own shape now, independent of what I want. The judge adjourns. The gavel sound is final, clean. People begin to stand, filing out, murmuring like they just watched a storm. Mina comes to my side immediately. She wraps her arms around me before I can decide if I want it. Her hug is fierce, like she's trying to hold me together with sheer will. My body trembles in her arms, not from fear now, but from release. My eyes sting and the tears finally come, hot, silent, unstoppable. I press my face into her shoulder so no one sees my mouth shaking. I'm sorry, I whisper, and I don't even know what I'm apologizing for trusting him, for staying, for being human. Mina squeezes me harder. Stop, she whispers back. Just stop. You survived. Outside the courthouse doors, the air hits my face like rain after heat. Cool, fresh, real. My lungs expand like they've been waiting for permission. The sky is brighter than it was this morning, or maybe my eyes are just less full of darkness. Mr. Halden walks beside us for a few steps, cane tapping softly. The rhythm is steady, same as earlier, but now it feels like a closing chord instead of a warning. I wipe my cheeks with the back of my hand, embarrassed by the salt on my skin. "Why did you do all this?" I ask, voice raw. Mr. Halden's gaze stays on the courthouse steps, not on me, as if he's choosing his words carefully. "I didn't do it," he says simply. "You did. You showed who you are when you thought no one would notice. I just opened a door." My throat tightens again. I nod because if I speak, I'll cry all over. My phone buzzes. The sound makes my spine jolt. Old fear reflex. I look down. A notification. Case update. Additional review opened. My stomach flips, but it's not dread this time. It's the sensation of a net tightening around something that used to slip away. I lift my eyes to the street beyond the courthouse, the moving cars, the ordinary people who have no idea my world just cracked open. Evan's world is shrinking. I can feel it, not because I'm harming him, because he built it on lies, and lies can't hold weight forever. I inhale. The air fills my chest, cool and sharp, and it feels like the first breath of the rest of my life. My hands won't stop shaking even after we're outside. It's not fear anymore. It's aftershock. Like my body spent months bracing for a hit that finally came. And now, it doesn't know what to do with all that leftover tension. Mina walks me down the courthouse steps slow, like she's afraid I'll crack if she moves too fast. I keep the shoebox hugged to my chest. The cardboard edge presses into my forearm. It hurts. I like the hurt. It's real. It reminds me I'm not floating away. Cars hiss past on the street. Someone laughs across the sidewalk. Life keeps going around me, indifferent and loud, and for the first time, that doesn't feel cruel. It feels freeing, like the world is proving I can keep moving too. I think about how betrayal didn't arrive as a screaming fight. It arrived as a calm voice, a mint breath whisper, "You're nothing." It arrived as a locked account and a card that wouldn't work, that humiliating beep in a grocery store while strangers watched like I was guilty of something. It arrived as my phone going dead in my hand, service cut like I was a line item he could delete. I keep tasting that, how he tried to erase me without leaving fingerprints. And then I think about the bus, the heat that pressed into my scalp, the diesel smell that clung to my clothes, the way my stomach twisted with dread as I stepped up, alone, toward the courthouse like I was walking into my own execution. And then the old man, the way he nearly fell, the way my arm moved before my fear could vote, the way my fingers locked around a stranger's sleeve and refused to let go. People like Evan love to call that kind of instinct weak, soft, naive. But I know what it was now. It was proof. Kindness isn't weakness. It's a spine you don't have to announce. It's the part of you that stays upright when someone else is trying to fold you into silence. I can still see Evan's face when the power slipped. That split second where his eyes showed it. Panic before he tried to paste his smile back on. He spent years practicing his confidence, polishing it until it blinded people. But confidence built on lies. It collapses when the truth finally stands up. My throat tightens again and I swallow hard, forcing the emotion down because I'm tired of crying, tired of leaking myself out in public. Still, my eyes burn. Because there's grief, too. Grief for the girl I was when I believed love meant giving until you disappeared. Grief for the woman I became. Quiet. Careful. Always checking his mood like it was the weather. I want to reach back through time and grab her shoulders, shake her gently, tell her, stop shrinking. He's not bigger than you. He just acts like it. Mina squeezes my hand. I look at her and my chest aches with gratitude, so intense it feels like pain. She showed up. She ran. She didn't ask me to be pretty about it. She didn't ask me to be easy. She just stood there and refused to let me be swallowed. Mr. Halden's cane tap fades as he walks away, and it hits me then. How small the turning point really was. Not a grand speech, not a perfect plan, just one moment of choosing to help when I was drowning myself. One moment that rerouted everything. So if you're in a season where someone treats you like you don't matter, please hear this the way my bones hear it now. You are not nothing. You are not disposable. You are not the story they tell about you. Truth has a way of finding a microphone, and sometimes It finds it in the most ordinary place: a crowded bus, a shaking hand, a choice. If this story hits something in you, if you've ever been underestimated, dismissed, or quietly erased, stay close. There are more stories like this, the kind where justice doesn't need cruelty to be powerful, and if you want, tell me in the comments. What city are you listening from? And have you ever had someone underestimate you, then regret it?